Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our Dynamics GP coffee break for Management Reporter. This is our last session in our Dynamics GP reporting series. My name is Tess, and I'm the facilitator today. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the questions area in the control panel on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll answer questions at the end. This session will be recorded and posted on our blog, as well as shared with you later this week. Now I'd like to introduce our presenter today, Don McNulty, who is a solutions architect on our Dynamics GP team at Encore. Don, I'll pass it over to you.
Thanks, Tess. Good morning, all. So today we're going to talk about management reporters. So what's management reporter? Management reporter allows us to generate financial statements. That's its sole purpose, is to generate reports in the format of a financial statement. And how do we use it? So what we've got is there are four basic building blocks that we have to deal with, and then there's a little bit of security that we have to talk about. So the building blocks are fairly straightforward. There's a catalog, or what they now call a row definition. The catalog is an old term from people who used to use FRX. But it is a report definition. It's where you link together your rows, your columns, and your trees. So when we talk about rows, we talk about line items in an Excel spreadsheet is the best way to think about it. From a reporting standpoint, it is the rows that you see on your financial statements. You know, you have a sales for revenue, and then underneath it you'll have cost of goods, and then you'll have a gross profit, and then underneath that you'll have expenses, and you'll have 5 or 6 different types of expense categories: total expenses, net profit, etc. That's what the rows do, and the rows dictate which GL codes or groups of GL codes that you wish to put on any single line. Those line items do not require sequential numbering. In other words, you don't, if you've got accounts number 1000 to 1100, you can put 1000, 1010, and 1020 on one line, and 1015 and 1025 on another row. They do not need to be in sequence. Okay. Columns are your columns on your spreadsheet. So column 1 is almost always a description: cash, sales, whatever it happens to be. The other columns are things like current period, current year to date, last year same period, last year to date, variance between the two, budget columns, or whatever it is that you wish to show on your different columns. Those columns are then interact with the rows to provide you the numbers. The tree allows you to take that same row and column definition and apply it against many different departments. So you've got a statement, and you've got Vancouver and Toronto, or New York and Seattle, and you want to produce a financial statement for the New York operation and one for the Seattle operation. They have exactly the same chart of accounts. The only difference is that they have a division that's different between the two. We take that division and we move those two, and we can create a Vancouver statement and a New York statement, and we can combine those two together to give you your total company position. So you end up with generating both a single and as well a single one for each site, as well as the overall subtotals. Okay. On the security side, we can create different security inside Management Reporter. And inside Management Reporter with the security, what happens is is you can specify which person sees what. Now, Management Reporter has very good security, better security than, say, JET or F9, or even some of the other ones, simply because of the way that it works. It works underneath, it uses Active Directory inside GP and allows you to specify who can see which of the different limbs of the tree. So as you build a tree, I can produce this report, publish it, but Joe can only see the New York site. He can't see the overall site, and he can't see Vancouver. Jane can see the Vancouver site, and Sarah can see all three. So that It's up to you as to how you want it to set up. So there are some very good things inside the security. A caveat to Management Reporter needs to be always said with them now is that in May of 2016, Microsoft sunsetted Management Reporter and has said that it will no longer produce updates or migrations for it after May of 2026. So they gave us a 10-year window as Management Reporter moves forward. So you do have to start thinking about replacing Management Reporter. But this one was because we have a lot of clients who still use it. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today is I'm going to show you how to create rows or what the rows look like. I'm going to show you what the columns look like. I'm going to show you what the trees, and I'm going to generate some reports using a catalog or a definition. So without anything else, let's just go like this. And I'll move this across to here. So this is Management Reporter. So this is what Management Reporter looks like. You'll see here we've got report definitions, row definitions, columns, and trees. These are the four that we're going to be talking about today. So underneath these are the default ones that come right out of GP, out of the box. I have not done any real huge modifications to them because I wanted to show you how they work. So inside here, we pick the one that we're looking for, and we're just going to pick up an income statement default. Okay, so inside when I open up the income statement default, I get this, and this is the report catalog or the report definition. And basically, it's saying what company am I using, what kind of detail level do I want to see the transactional detail or not? Do I want drill down to transactions, or do I only want drill down to the account? Transactions are only good for current periods. We do not get year-to-date transactions. We only get the current period. Okay, I'm going to do a financial account, and then I can do provisional. It will look at unposted GL entries and add those in. That's both good and bad, depending on what you've got in there, but most people use it in posted activity only. Okay, inside here we have a base period. Now, ordinarily we set it to the base period as being S-1 or S-2. Which gives me that. I have to move to 2027 because my data is in 2027. Ordinarily, this would be set to, most people have this set to like S1, which would be 22. And because it's June 21st, it would move it back to base period 5, which is May. And I'm going to just change that to base period 4, and I'm going to go to 2027. I'm going to just change that to S-2 and change it to 2027. I can change my dates anytime, so I can go back and produce financial statements from any period in the past as well. Here's my row, here's my column, here's my tree. This is what I'm using. I'm using a reporting tree by division. I'm going to show you the divisional trees. And then I've got the year-to-date budget variance. I've got a year-to-date column, I've got a year-to-date budget column, and then I've got a variance column that subtracts those two together. Really a simple, very simple budget type thing. And I'll be adding some stuff to that so that we can see it. Now, other things that are in here, we can send these to different locations. I'm sending mine to what they call the library. There's a library website that is automatically set up by Management Reporter, which is where it stores all of the reports. You can also, other things that you can send it to is you can send it to Excel and you can send it to Word. I don't know why anybody would ever send it to Word, but you can send it to Word, but you can send it to Excel. This is where you include whether you want to do formats and headers and things like that. Under the headers and the footers, this is what's going to show up at the top of the page. It's going to say it's got a company description, so it's going to say my Fabricam Inc., which is my company. It's going to say the unit description. Okay, the unit description is what I put on the tree, so that would be Vancouver and New York. In my case, it's going to be sales and admin and finance. And then the period coverage is how many months this is for the 4-month period ending, and then it says date long. It's going to say April 30th, 2027. So it'll spell the whole thing out. Instead of APR, it'll be April. So things like that. And you can add, first section is on the left, the second section is centered, the third section is on the right. Right justified, left justified, and centered. And then I can put stuff in the footers. Things that I can put in the footer is I can double click on here, And I could insert, for instance, I can insert auto text, and I can go page number, and I can go total pages of pages. So I can put the pages, so I'll be putting that in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. There's some settings inside here which we can do. How do you do the calculation? Do you go down or across? That's fine. We perform row calculation first, and then we add the columns, which is what we want to do. We also have the ability here to put negative numbers in brackets or with a negative sign, and you can also round and you can apply rounding accordingly if you wish. So if you wish, this is the apply rounding. Rounding precision is no rounding. I can do whole, and it will automatically do one. I'm going to leave it with pennies to show you everything. Okay. So that's the report. That's how you set up a report catalog. So how do we edit the row? So you can edit the row two ways. You can either, I always usually open this and then I click this and it opens up the row, which opens up the row definitions, which is basically the same as hitting the row definitions on the bottom left. So here I've got my sales, discount, other income. I'm adding those up to here, up to I'm putting these up to 130 to 250. So it's adding up 130 to 250. It's adding them all together. So it gives me a total for my sales, and I've got my cost of goods picking up. My cost of goods is then I'm taking 280, which is this total revenue, minus 340, which is cost of goods, to give me my gross profit. So these are my calculated fields inside here, and then we move forward from there. Inside here are all the different categories. Now these categories are the GL account categories inside Microsoft Dynamics GP. Now if you wanted to inside here, if I wanted to be more specific inside here, and I wanted to, let me go insert here. I'm going to insert a row. I can go sales by account. So I can come across here, I can put a C in because the C means that it's going to show it as a, it changes the sign. C means credit balance, so it's expected to be a credit balance because it's sales. Now when I go into here, I can go into here and I can select my division, my account, my department. Now my account, my division, account, and department is set inside GP. When I look up my individual, this is my chart of accounts. So if I go to my 4000s inside here, where is it? 4100. And I can go like this. Now I can add 4100. I can add a different account beside it. I can add ranges of accounts inside here. So I can go 4100 and then I can go plus 4200. I can also go 4100 to 4400. So it would give me a range. The other thing that I can do, which is quite unique inside Management Reporter, is that I can click this sign here and it will allow me to subtract. So if I wanted to do this, if I was to go okay on this and I was to bring in 4100, I'm now double counting it because it's in the sales account. So if I was to go to here, I can then click on this and go minus 4100. So there we are. So it's going to pick up all the account category called sales, and it's going to subtract out 4100 because I need my 4100 to be on this line. Otherwise, I'm going to double count it because it'll be in there as a category sales as well as an account. So there it is there. I'm not going to do any other changes inside here. You'll notice down here I have account category interest expense plus account income tax expense. I'm putting it on the same line. I've got single categories inside here. And then I've got my totals at the bottom, so for my net income. Pretty simple, standard sized row. This looks like a regular financial statement. You can put in as many different rows as you need. I've only got a few inside here. And we've got these numbers in here to do the calculation. You'll see that this is 460. Well, 460 is manufacturing expense, right, which actually is currently 0. And then it's going all the way to 730, which is the blank line right here. So it will pick up everything that's inserted in between. The 130 to 250 has already picked up my 175, so I don't need to worry about that one. Okay. So that's the row. Now, columns. So we talk about columns. So inside your columns, I've got year to date. I've got my different pieces inside here. Now, if I take this one here and I go insert a column, and right here, I'm going to put in current month. Now, underneath the current month, I want to put a month, but an abbreviated month. Rather than a long month, I'm going to put in a short month. Okay, which means it's going to say, for April, it's going to be APR instead of APRIL, okay? So this is FD. Here we are. Now, when I put FD, it automatically filled in the actual. So I'm going to pick up actual. I have a choice of actual, and then I have a list of all my different budgets that are inside GP. So any budget that you wish to use, current budget, the board budget, whatever it happens to be, I can grab. I'm just going to pick the posting accounts, which is actual. What year? Well, I want the current year. In other words, I want 2027. Period, base. That is that 4. If I wanted last month, I could put in base -1. So if I click on this, I've got a number of different choices. I can put in different pieces. I'm going to put in base and leave that. And the period covered, do I want periodic, which is the current, or do I want year to date? I'm going to leave it as periodic. I'm going to leave it as auto fit. So I'm going to get a column for the current for April, the year to date for April, the budget, and you'll see that I've got long months and short months here. So I've got all that, and then I got it calculated, and then I'm doing the budget minus the year to date, which is D minus C. Okay, so that's my column, and I can add additional calculations and things like that. I can do subtotals, and there's a thing called a CBR, which allows you to specify what the denominator is and things like that. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail with that today. So once I've done that, I can then go like this, and I can go, do I want to save? I'm going to go, yep, I do. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this without a tree. I'm going to generate this. I'm going to click on the generate, and it's going to queue it up, and then it will generate a new, it will generate the report. Now it takes it a second to generate this, and this is going to generate a single report for the whole company, and it's going to ignore the account, it's going to ignore the division, okay, which is the 2 other segments that we've got. And with this, we'll then get my 3 columns. It'll show me all the accounts, and I'll be able to drill down and take a look at the different accounts. So there it is there. So there's my sales. Sales and sales by account, 236 is the total. If I double click on sales, it will bring up here, and you'll notice that 4,100 is listed here, but it's not got anything filled in. And then we've got all of these retail parts and things like that. If I go back to here, and I drill on this one here, this is only 4,100 sales. As you saw, I removed it because I put the minus in. It now puts it on a separate line. So there it is there. You'll see this is the current period. Here's the year to date for April. You'll notice that it says APR, and April is as expected, long and short. And then we've got our budget, which is this 480 minus the 600 minus the 480, so I'm $120,000 under budget. Okay, so this is a standard financial statement, and it is showing all the different lines. Now these 0 lines are because I did not ask it to suppress them. I can suppress 0 lines, so that if you've got lines that have got GL codes that have no information, it would then suppress them, so it would shrink down the report and things like that. So that's what that looks like from there. So that gives us the report. So from here, the next thing I say, well, I really want to see this by department. So inside my reporting tree, I have a reporting tree, and I'm going to drill down. I'm going to open up the reporting tree. Again, on the side, I'm going to the reporting tree. Inside here, I have a summary of all units. That's what I just saw. And then underneath that, I've got my revenue, which is going to be in division 000. And then I've got my costs, which are in purchasing, accounting, admin, sales, service, etc. You'll notice over here, I've grouped them, and I've added a new subtotal for finance. And finance includes purchasing, accounting, and admin, whereas sales, service, and installation are done separately. I just arbitrarily pick that to show how it works. I can drag and drop these inside and outside of folders, and it will then subtotal accordingly. You'll notice it's picking up all my different subtotals. My division here is blank 999 and 000 is going into the first column, and then 600, 200, 100, 3, 4, and 5. So this is a standard tree. We can do this by department, we can do this by division, we can do it by department and division. You can make this as complex or as simple as you like. So when I go back to my report now, and that's basically the tree, what I can do is when I hit generate, it comes up and says, well, what do you want to generate? Do I just want to generate the summary? Do I just want to generate finance? I'm going to select all, and it just highlights everything. So I'm going to select this all, and I'm going to go OK. And when I do that, it's going to queue it, and it's going to generate this report, which is exactly the same as the report that I just did, except that now I'm going to have my subtotal, my front page is going to be the same, but I'll be able to drill down to each of those different levels inside the tree and see that same statement a second and third and fourth time based upon whether or not it is finance or what it happens to be. Should take it a second to pop up. And again, it's 427, so I'm working with the same year. So these base period changes everything. There it is there. Now these numbers look exactly the same, but I have a reporting tree down in the bottom corner here. So I can hit the reporting tree and I can take a look at finance. When I look at finance, I've only got expenses. And when I drill down on this 1483, I can look at this. There's purchasing, accounting, and admin. It's all under admin. If I double click on the admin, it gives me all my GL codes. And it would list off all the GL codes that would be in there. I happen to only have a single account that's being done. So inside your reporting tree, I can then take a look at sales. That particular reporting unit does not have any data. And if I go back to my revenue account, there it is there. So I've got nothing inside there. So there it is there. So that's kind of what we're after from that point of view. So I'm going to go back to my summary of all units. Like so. Over here, I can publish this and I can put this out to my different locations and I can refresh it. If I refresh it, it will rerun the report if I grant people the rights to do that. So they can run the report directly from here. We can print it, we can download it. When we download it, we have a choice of Excel or Management Report Viewer. I do not have Excel here, but it will send out a page for every single one of these. So it sends out a different sheet in one workbook. It will send out all these different pieces inside there. So that's a basic overview of Management Reporter. Let me go back to my Management Reporter screen here from there and talk a little bit about security. So there are report groups and report schedules. I can schedule these things to run at night so that because they do take some time, as you saw, the queuing does take some time. If you've got large numbers of reports that you need to look at, you can queue them up and have them run every night or run every so often. You also have report groups, and report groups allows you to link different reports together. So you can grab different report groups and group distributions and things like that so that it can run a bunch of different reports. So you've got a row column tree that does the financial statement. You got a row column tree that does the marketing information a little differently, and then you can link those two together so that they become a single report. Underneath security, you have users, groups, and companies. Underneath your users, if you click on this, this tells you can I drill to Dynamics? Do I have export the building blocks? Can I create reports? Obviously, I'm listed as who has everything, but these are the types of restrictions that you can place on the individuals. Underneath the groups, you can add a group and then grant those same transactions to the group. And then you can give different company accesses. I have I have the same company twice, once with analytical accounting and once without. One thing I will mention is that inside the report definition, So inside your report definition here, you can specify the company. And that will grab different companies when you look at this. Analytical accounting is supported inside Management Reporter. It's one of the few reporting tools that does support analytical accounting well. It does a reasonably good job. It does have some issues because it requires a data mark, but other than that, it's relatively straightforward. So, all right, and questions. Tess, do we have any questions?
We have one so far, but
Okay.
if anyone has any questions, they can enter it in the control panel on the right-hand side of your screen. And Dawn, the first question is, can we keep using it after 2026?
You'll be able to continue to use it after 2026. The question will be whether or not, if you upgrade your Dynamics in 2026, we'll probably be on 18.7 or 18.8. As you move forward and move as GP moves its version forward, it may or may not continue to work inside Management Reporter. That being said, there's been very little change done to the financial data in GP in the last 10 years. So outside of, since 2013, really no major change has happened in the GL. So I can't see anything really happening. So I can't see why it wouldn't work, but there's no guarantee. If it stops working, it's because they've made a change to the financial tables in GP, and that Management Reporter can no longer read them. Okay, they will not be upgrading that link, which is what they do with a service back there on, I think it's cumulative 17 or something like that, on Management Reporter GP. It's on, this is Management Reporter 12. So that's the version number 12. And it's a cumulative update. I think it's 17 we're on right now. They bring out new updates in order to support any changes to the tables inside GP. They haven't had one for a while, so I can't guarantee you it'll work, but it also probably won't break right away either. It will not break if you continue to use an older version of GP. Okay.
That sounds good. Thanks, Dawn. That is the only question that has come in. So if you could go to the next slide. I'm going to send, just the final slide there. So we don't have any upcoming coffee break webinars in July or August, but in the post-webinar survey that will open after the webinar ends, I encourage you to submit any topic ideas you'd like to see in our future webinars. I added a link to where you can set your email preferences and opt into our monthly and quarterly emails where you can stay in the know about our upcoming events and see our latest blog articles.
And a recording of this will be added to the blog article that's out there.
Yep, it definitely will. And we'll share it with the recording later this week. So no more questions have come in. So thank you, Dawn, for the information. And thank you everyone for joining us today. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks all.